जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर डिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय जय। प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री वसादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। गंगा माई यमुना माई की, भक्ति देव तुलसी महारानी की जय। सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees. So today we'll be reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, verse 6 and 7. I need your blessings so that we can have a nice discussion. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुरुन उन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So we'll start. Text 6. ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि संन्यासमत्परः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते। ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि संन्यासमत्परः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्ते उपासते। ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि संन्यासमत्परः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते। We'll also read the next verse. I'm looking for my phone. My phone. We'll also read the next verse. Tesham aham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami na chirat partha mayi aveshita chetasam। तेषाम् अहं समुद्धार्थ मृत्यु संसार सागरात् भवामि न चिरत्पार्थ मयि अवेशित चेतसाम्। तेषाम् अहं समुद्धार्थ मृत्यु संसार सागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मयि अवेशित चेतसाम्। Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities onto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having their minds upon me, O son of Pritha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Purport. It is explicitly stated here that the devotees are very fortunate to be delivered very soon from material existence by the Lord. In pure devotional service, one comes to the realization that God is great and that the individual soul is subordinate to Him. His duty is to render service to the Lord, and if he does not, then he will render service to māyā. As stated before, the Supreme Lord can be appreciated only by devotional service. Therefore, one should be fully devoted. One should fix his mind fully on Krishna in order to achieve Him. One should work only for Krishna. It should not matter it does not matter in what kind of work one engages, but that work should be done only for Krishna. That is the standard of devotional service. The devotee does not desire any achievement other than pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His life's mission is to please Krishna, and he can sacrifice everything for Krishna's satisfaction, just as Arjuna did in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The process is very simple. One can devote himself in his occupation and engage at the same time in chanting the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Such transcendental chanting attracts the devotee to the personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord herein promises that without delay he will deliver a pure devotee thus engaged from the ocean of material existence. Those who are advanced in yoga practice, can willfully transfer the soul to whatever planet they like by the yoga process, and the others take the opportunity in various ways. But as far as the devotee is concerned, it is clearly stated here that the Lord himself takes him. The devotee does not need to wait to become very experienced in order to transfer himself to the spiritual sky. In the Varaha Purana, this verse appears. Nayamni paramam sthanam archir adghatim vina garudaskandam aropya jatecham anivartitaha. The purport of this verse is that a devotee does not need to practice Ashtanga Yoga in order to transfer his soul to the spiritual planets. The responsibility is taken by the Supreme Lord himself. He clearly states here that he himself becomes a deliverer. A child is completely cared for by his parents, and thus his position is secure. Similarly, a devotee does not need to endeavor to transfer himself by yoga practice to other planets. Rather, the Supreme Lord, by his great mercy, comes at once, riding on his bird carrier Garuda, and at once delivers the devotee from material existence. Although a man who has fallen in the ocean may struggle very hard and may be very expert in swimming, he cannot save himself. But if someone comes and picks him up from the water, then he is easily rescued. Similarly, the Lord picks up the devotee from this material existence. One simply has to practice the easy process of Krishna consciousness and fully engage himself in devotional service. Any intelligent man should always prefer the process of devotional service to all other paths. In the Narayananiya, this is confirmed as follows. Ya vai sadhana sampattihi purushartha hatustaye taya vina tad apnoti naro narayanasrayaha. The purpose of this verse is that one should not engage in the different processes of fruitive activity or cultivate knowledge by mental speculative process. One who is devoted to the Supreme Personality can attain all the benefits derived from other yogic processes, speculation, rituals, sacrifices, charities, etc. That is the specific benediction of devotional service. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, a devotee of the Lord can approach the supreme destination easily and happily. But this destination cannot be approached by any other process of religion. The conclusion of Bhagavad Gita is stated in the 18th chapter. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayisami ma suchaha. One should give up all other processes of self-realization and simply execute the devotional service in Krishna consciousness. That will enable one to reach the highest perfection of life. There is no need for one to consider the sinful actions of his past life, because the Supreme Lord fully takes charge of him. Therefore, one should not futilely try to deliver himself in spiritual realization. Let everyone take shelter of the Supreme Omnipotent Godhead, Krishna. That is the perfection of life. So, in this particular purport, Srila Prabhupada is basically describing what is the consciousness of this pure devotee. Right? The pure devotee understands the reality very clearly, that his welfare is in the service of the Lord. Otherwise, he himself is in trouble. So, understanding that, this pure devotee, he continuously engages in devotional service. He constantly meditates upon the Lord, and the Lord here explains to Arjuna that he will take care of delivering such a pure devotee from the ocean of birth and death. There is no need of any other process or having any other alternative means to approach or to make progress in spiritual life. Just by the process of devotional service, by following the instructions of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, one can simply, as Prabhupada is mentioning, continue their duty and their occupation duty, and specifically in this age, it is recommended to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So by doing this and somehow or other engaging his activities and his mind in the service of Krishna, he can be delivered from this world of birth and death. Right? So Prabhupada also explains that how, as a parent is taken care by a child, similarly the Supreme Lord, seeing the desire of this devotee, right, he takes care of him. Right? Specifically, Prabhupada talks about a specific verse describing that the Lord himself would come down and he would come on his carrier, the Garuda, and deliver that individual. Right? So in this reference, I was thinking that I was remembering the pastime of Gajendra. Right? So Gajendra was in his previous life a great devotee. His name was King Indradyumna, and he was a great devotee of Lord Krishna, and so he ruled the kingdom for many years. And after that, he retired, and then he moved to a small cottage in a forest, and he focused his entire attention on praying to the Lord and serving the Lord. So then an interesting situation has come upon him. So at some point in time, while he was doing his meditative or his devotional practice, right, he was observing silent meditation, and at that instant he was completely absorbed in the ecstasy of the love of Godhead. So he was in complete absorption, and at that particular moment itself, a great sage, Agastya Muni, he comes to his particular ashram or his cottage, and then he comes along with his students there, and then he observes that this particular king is not responding to him, or he is not welcoming him, and he gets offended, right? So although the king was in his own he was at a higher meditative state, remembering the Lord and praying to the Lord, right? Factually speaking, there was no offense on the part of the king, but Agastya Muni, he got offended and he insulted, and he felt insulted, and he cursed the king to become an elephant. Why? Because he says that you are so dumb, you are full of ignorance, that you are not even receiving a great sage, right? So he curses him that you will become an elephant. But Indrajumna, because he was a very advanced soul, he takes it in a positive spirit, and he understands that this is the will of the Lord, and so he accepts it. And so in the next life he becomes the elephant named Gajendra. So this is an entire pastime which is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8. So where this king Gajendra, he was a king of a big forest in a heavenly planet, and everyone used to be very much fearful of him. Even other animals like lions, right? They used to be so afraid of him because he was very, very powerful. So one day he accompanied by his other associates, other elephants, they go out for a picnic near a lake, and all of them were having a very wonderful time. And then Gajendra, he enters the lake, and he splashes himself all over. He drinks the water. He feels so happy, and he invites his other accomplices to also enter the lake. But then all of a sudden, a crocodile captures his leg, and it happens all of a sudden that everybody is stunned. The elephant Gajendra is still thinks that he is very powerful, and he tries to get over that crocodile. And so, but it turns out that even the crocodile is also very, very powerful. It was a very powerful creature, and there's a constant tug of war in between this elephant and this crocodile. And at that moment, this Gajendra, he recognizes that none of his family is in a position to help him, because all of them were afraid of this crocodile, and he himself was the most powerful among all of them, and seeing he himself was struggling, right? So all others, they simply, they thought that they cannot do anything. So Gajendra, he and the crocodile, they actually had this fight, and it is described that this fight continued for 1,000 years. For 1,000 years, there was this constant struggle. The elephant was trying to come out of the water, Gajendra, and the crocodile was, biting much deeper into the skin and pulling him in. Right? And then, so Srimad Bhagavatam describes that in this process, this Gajendra, he becomes weak over a period of time. Because why? Because although he is strong in the water, the crocodile is much more powerful, right? So over this thousands of years, he loses his energy gradually, right? And then, but because he is a devotee of the Lord in his previous life, right? The Lord always carried that consciousness, or he actually enabled this Gajendra to remember his love towards Krishna. So then Srimad Bhagavatam explains this series of verses which are actually describing. I'll briefly chant them. Sri Badanarar Uvacha Evam Vyavasito Buddhya Samadhaya Mano Shridi Jhajapa Paramam Japyam Prag Janmani Anuksitam. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued. Thereafter the king of the elephant, Gajendra, fixed his mind in his heart with perfect intelligence and chanted a mantra which he had learned in his previous birth as Indrajumna, and which he remembered by the grace of Krishna. Right? So he was remembering Krishna because of his devotional service in his previous life. So now Gajendra, after this entire thousands of years of battle, right, he comes to a point where he starts remembering his previous love for Krishna, and he understands that he wants to pray to Krishna and nothing else. So he continues. So he has a series of long verses of prayers where he prays. Sri Gajendra Uvacha Om Namo Bhagavate Hasmai Yata Echad Chit Atmakam Purushaya Bijaya Paresaya Bhi Dhimahi. The king of elephants, Gajendra, said, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Person, Vasudeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Because of him, this material body acts due to the presence of spirit, and he is therefore the root cause of everyone. He is worshipable for such exalted persons as Brahma and Shiva, and he has entered the heart of every living being. Let me meditate upon him. He continues. Yasmin idam yatas chedam yenedam ya idam swayam yosmat parasmat chaparas tam prapadye swayam bhuvam. The Supreme Godhead is the supreme platform on which everything rests, the ingredient by which everything has been produced, and the person who has created and is the only cause of his cosmic manifestation. Nonetheless, he is different from the cause and the result. I surrender unto him, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is self-sufficient in everything. So then, right, he actually surrenders in his heart of hearts that, oh Krishna, now I want to only serve you. I do not want anything else. And, everything, all my energy, all my life, everything is only for you, right? Right? And he continues on with a series of prayers, right? And he also prays that now, it is not that he is praying to just get himself, comfortable in this particular situation, right? He prays that now, fully desiring release from material life, I offer my respectful obeisances unto that Supreme Person who is the creator of the universe, who is himself the form of the universe, and who is nonetheless transcendental to the cosmic manifestation. He is the supreme knower of everything in this world, the super soul of the universe. He is the unborn, supremely situated Lord. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So he offers these prayers in heart of his hearts that he wants completely surrender to the Lord, and he wants to serve him, and he does not want to do anything to do even with this present situation which he is undergoing, right? And so he offers so many series of prayers. I would encourage everyone to read at some point of time because these prayers are glorified everywhere, and that is the reason all of them are present in the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? And so after offering these prayers, right? So I'll read a few more verses which actually describe the arrival of the Lord on Garuda, right? So here is the verse. Tam Tatvad Artam Upalabdha Jagan Nivasa Stotram Nisamya Dhavijay Sahas Samstuvadbihi Chendo Mayena Garudena Samuhya Manas Chakradhyo Kamad Asuyhato Gajendraha. After understanding the awkward condition of Gajendra, who had offered his prayers, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, who lives everywhere, appeared with the demigods who were offering prayers to him. Carrying his disc and other weapons, he appeared there on the back of his carrier Garuda with great speed according to his desire. Thus he appeared before Gajendra. Right? And at this particular moment, Gajendra is struggling. Like he's almost on the verge of collapse. He has completely drained his entire energy. Right? But then when he sees the Lord humming before him with Garuda, right? He plucks a small lotus in the lake and he offers it to Krishna. So there's a specific verse, even over here, says, Gajendra had been forcefully captured by the crocodile in the water and was feeling acute pain. But when he saw Narayana wielding his disc was coming in the sky on the back of Garuda, he immediately took a lotus flower in his trunk, and with great difficulty due to his painful condition, he uttered the following words. O my Lord, Narayana, the Master of the universe, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So he plucks out this lotus flower and he offers it to the Lord. Right? So then the Lord, he descends from his Garuda, and then he lands on that place. So he pulls both Gajendra and the crocodile out of the water, right? And then he uses his Sudarshana disc and he cuts off the head of the crocodile. And so Bhagavatam describes that in this particular situation, because the Lord personally touched Gajendra, right? He became completely purified, and the Lord reciprocated with his desire and took him back to Vaikuntha, right? And there is also a story regarding this crocodile as well, right? So this crocodile also has a backstory where he was actually a king named Huhu in the Gandharva planets, right? So at one point in time, he was actually in a lake, and he was also in a lake, coincidentally. Yeah, and he was having some pleasurable time with some of his associates in the water, and he accidentally pulls the leg of a sage named Devala. And the sage, even there, he gets upset and he curses that you become a crocodile because you seem to have a tendency like a crocodile. So then the king, right, he begs the sage saying that, oh, please help me, I've done this accidentally, and he apologizes to him. So the sage Devala says, don't worry, at the time when Gajendra will get liberated, you will also get liberated. So the story is described where so as soon as that crocodile is killed, right? So from that the soul who he comes out, he gets delivered So he offers prayers to Vishnu, and then he goes back to Gandharva Loka. So yes, so Bhagavatam has so many stories like this, explaining deep stories, deep meanings, and and lot of action packed. So I would encourage everyone to open the Bhagavatam and read. And also remember the verses and try to remember, as Dravida Prabhu, he constantly encourages all the devotees to memorize the slokas. So because you could see this incident of Gajendra, right? So he was able to remember his prayers to the Lord in his past life. So I guess we should also get inspired to learn these prayers, which are present in Srimad Bhagavatam, so that hopefully we'll also develop some love to Krishna, right? Yeah, thank you. Do you have any comments or questions? Please.
Yeah, I heard this story. In my childhood, I was reading the Gajendra book. But I didn't know that the fight between the crocodile and elephant went on for thousands of years.
Yeah.
So that's something new I learned. I thought maybe some few days,
No, it clearly says, the verse clearly says it's for like thousands of years. Yeah.
Thank you very much for a very interesting class.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you once again.
Thank you very much for participation.